Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm sharing a recipe for Boston cream donuts. So these are going to be vegan fried donuts and they're going to be filled with custard and then topped with some chocolate. And oh my god, these are so good. Oh, I really love them. I am a very big fan of filled donuts. Like if it's like jam or custard or chocolate, I don't care if the donut is filled, it makes it like 10 times better, I think. And yeah, these are definitely one of my favorite donuts to eat. So yeah, I hope you guys like this recipe as much as I do. Also, if you didn't know already, I have an Instagram account as well, where I post all my vegan food pictures and even more recipes. So go check that out if you haven't already. I'm also called Veganleonora on there. And yeah, let's just begin with the recipe now. So we're going to start by making the donuts because they will need to rise for a couple hours. So add some vegan milk and some butter to a bowl. And then add some aquaplacer to that. So I used this aquaplacer, but I did double the amount of powder that is recommended on the packet. So for one egg, I used 2 teaspoons of the powder and 2 tablespoons of water. Then I also added some sugar and mixed everything. Then add the all-purpose flour, the instant yeast and a pinch of salt. So we're going to mix everything now until a dough forms. So I started mixing with a spoon, then I switched to a hand mixer and I lastly kneaded the dough for about a minute or so with my hands just to incorporate everything. So once the dough is done, form a ball of the dough with your hands and grab a clean bowl. So you will need to grease the bowl with some oil. I use some sunflower oil for this. So yeah, just add a light layer of the oil and then you can add the dough. And lastly, add a light layer of oil on the dough as well to prevent it from drying out. Cover the bowl with a towel and let it rise in a warm spot for 2 hours until the dough has doubled in size. In the meantime, we'll make the custard. So add some milk to a pan. You can use any vegan milk that you want. I use some rice milk because I really like the flavor of the rice milk in the custard, but you can use any milk that you want. So then just add all the rest of the ingredients. So for the cornstarch, I just mix that with some water before adding it to the mix to prevent lumps in the custard. So mix everything and heat this up slowly on low heat until it thickens and starts to look like custard. So just keep on stirring, this will take a few minutes. So once the custard reaches this consistency, you want to turn off the heat. So as you can see, it turned into perfect custard. Such a nice consistency and it is so tasty. So then we're going to put the custard in a bowl, cover it and then put it in the fridge until we need it again. So I strained my custard to make sure it absolutely had no lumps in it. So you will need to cover the custard since otherwise there will be like a crust on top and you don't want that. So you should use some plastic wrap to cover it. But I didn't have any, so I just used a piece of parchment paper for this, which works just as well. So make sure it's touching the surface of the custard. Then put the custard in the fridge until we need it again later. So you could also make this the day before The custard stays well in the fridge for a couple of days, so you can make this whenever you want. So once the dough has doubled in size, take it out of the bowl and just knead it for about 30 seconds. And then roll it out with a rolling pin until it's about a centimeter thick. Then cut the dough into round shapes for the donuts. So you can use a cookie cutter for this, or a jar lid, or anything round that you have. And put each donut on a bit of parchment paper so that they will be easier to move around without damaging them. So this recipe makes about 7 donuts and then a little bit of scraps that you can make like a little donut ball of. Then cover the donuts with a towel and let them rise for another hour. So this is what the donuts look like before rising. And this is them after. So they have risen quite a bit. Now it's time to fry the donuts. So you're going to heat up some sunflower oil until it's about 190 degrees Celsius or 375 Fahrenheit. And that means the oil is hot enough to fry the donuts in. So if you don't own a thermometer, you can test if the oil is hot enough by putting some leftover dough in it. So if the oil isn't hot enough, the piece of dough won't rise to the surface and nothing really happens. And if the oil is hot enough, you can see that the piece will quickly rise to the surface and lots of bubbles will form. And that means the oil is hot enough. So carefully put the donuts in the oil one by one and fry them for a few minutes on each side until they are golden brown. Then remove the donut from the oil and let it leak out on a bit of kitchen paper towel. And then repeat with the rest of the donuts. Once the donuts are all done, let them cool off, and in the meantime we'll melt some chocolate. So I melted my chocolate au bain-marie to prevent it from burning. So just put some water in a pan and bring that to a boil, and then add a bowl on top with the chocolate in it. So make sure the bowl doesn't touch the water. So I used about 90 grams of dark chocolate for my 7 donuts. So once the donuts have cooled down completely, we're going to fill them. So just grab something to poke a hole in the donut. I used a metal straw for this. So poke a hole in the side of the donut and wiggle the straw around a bit to make some room for the custard. And just repeat that for all of the donuts. Then take the custard out of the fridge, remove the parchment paper or foil and just whisk it until it's smooth again. Then add a piping nozzle to a piping bag and fill it with the custard. And then just fill the donuts with the custard. So be careful not to overfill the donuts like I did here. I added a bit too much custard and it just came running out again. Once the donuts are all filled, dip them in the chocolate and put them in the fridge to let the chocolate set. And that is it. you've got yourself some lovely Boston cream donuts that are vegan, but just as delicious as the original ones. The custard is so tasty, oh, I really love it. And yeah, the donuts are just nice and fluffy and really tasty. I really love these donuts. You guys have to try the recipe. So that was the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching and I hope you will try out the recipe and really love it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching and have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!